With Demon Slayer Season 3 now over, we're gonna talk about the Swordsmith Village Arc, because I think this had so many good character moments during it. I would argue and say that the action wasn't as epic as the Entertainment District arc. However, I think this arc did a really good job at building the characters, giving us the backstory to some of the hashiras as well as Genya, and really expanding the world a little bit more. So let's jump into my arc discussion for Demon Slayer Swordsmith Village Arc. Welcome to NonStopAntonio, where I talk about everything nerdy. I love Marvel, DC, and anime, and if you do too, I hope you enjoy this video. So let's quickly talk about how the arc started, because I really liked how it just brought us into the Infinity Castle with the upper rank demons and Muzan. We get introduced to other upper ranks we haven't met yet, like Hentengu, Gyoko, Kokushibo, and Doma, who seems really interesting and very upbeat. I'm interested to finding out more about them, and especially Kokushibo as well, because he is the number ranked 1 demon, and he's related to Yorichi in some way. Obviously, I've had some of that stuff spoiled for me, but we're gonna try not to talk about that as much because we're not there yet in the anime. But I thought all those characters were really interesting, and we got to see Akaza again, which he's an interesting character all because I like how when we did meet him with Rengoku, he seemed very adamant in making Rengoku a demon, and he didn't seem like a terrible person, even though he was fighting them. Like, he seemed very upbeat, like, hey, you're cool, you should come join us kind of thing. Very interested in learning more about these upper rank demons now that we have 2 less of them, and how they're all gonna react to the fact that Hentengu and Gyoko are now dead. I love when Tanjiro woke up from healing and Inosuke was on the ceiling. That was a really fun moment too, and also getting us that flashback to while Tanjiro was waking up, seeing a descendant of his with Yorichi, who when I saw that at first, like, oh shit, that's Kokushibo, and then I found out later it's Yorichi, and I like that kind of confusion they gave us at the very beginning there, kind of giving us hints to what's really going on, and it's cool to learn more about Yorichi and Kokushibo, and I'm looking forward to whatever happens in the future with them, because Tanjiro's got to learn about his past, because now he's tied to that line. He's not related to them, which I found out. However, they did get taught the sun breathing dance and how to do sun breathing. So I'm really looking forward to the exploration of everything that's going on with that. Plus, when Tanjiro was at the Swordsmith Village, I love when we run into Mitsuri, because everything with her character was adorable, and it was such a fun time and wholesome, because I love when she runs down the stairs, Tanjiro runs up to close her robe, because he wants to make sure nothing happens, and she doesn't get revealed, which I think was a little funny, wholesome moment, because it just shows how good of a dude Tanjiro is, and I loved all their scenes during that, because you have her and Nezuko just being really cute and bonding and being best friends, and of course that leads into the end of the season, where she realizes Nezuko is now standing directly in front of her in the sun without a problem, and I love her reaction during that scene, because she like freaks out at first but then goes in for the hug, and it's so wholesome. Everything with Mitsuri this season was so wholesome, even when she was fighting the upper rank demon and saving Tanjiro, Genya, and Nezuko. Also, I love being introduced into Genya a little bit more, and this is because we never really got him a lot in the previous seasons. Like, we saw him during the final selection and him being a dick, and then we saw him later when they were at the Butterfly Mansion, and that was about it. Now we got to meet so much more about him, but we'll jump into his backstory in a bit. However, he seemed like a very arrogant person, but I love the fact that Tanjiro just kept being so nice to him and wanting to be friends and not really backing down when Genya pushed back. And it shows that Tanjiro's able to reach his way into anyone who's a little bit more stubborn and make them care and show that he cares as well. Pretty much overall, Tanjiro's role in this season was making Muichiro remember who he was and remember how much of a good person he used to be, as well as Tanjiro reminding him of his father, and also showing Genya's heart a little bit more and having Tanjiro back Genya up while he was a demon, not even questioning it. Which, speaking of that, the whole Genya demon situation is still so interesting in my eyes, because we never got a huge explanation to, you know, how he discovered his powers. Like, he says if he eats the demons, he gains the regeneration abilities and he gets stronger, but we never actually learned where he found that out about. So was he just munching on demon one day and he's like, holy shit, I now have demon powers, but it's only temporary? Because it feels like a weird thing to experiment with if you didn't have any prior knowledge. However, I love that his whole scenes as a demon, because it was pretty cool, because he's able to throw freaking trees, he literally got shish kebabbed and got turned into Swiss cheese, and he was still fighting. And I loved when Tanjiro first found out and saw that he was a demon, dude didn't even react. He's just like, oh, Genya, you're good? We're good to go. Even if he was getting strangled, he didn't even try to fight him. He just saw him as another ally because he has Nezuko. Tanjiro's new sword in this was really cool too, finding out it's Yorichi's sword that's in the mechanical doll, and then having Hotaru steal it from Tanjiro in a very funny way, because he wanted to make it as perfect as can be so it doesn't break and Tanjiro will survive, because Tanjiro is the one demon slayer that'll work with Hotaru and doesn't just abandon him like the other ones, and he's determined to make a perfect sword for him, because every time it breaks he blames himself because he doesn't think he's a good swordsmith. Tanjiro does deal with the strongest demons, so there's a reason why they always break. And I loved Hotaru during this as well, learning more about him and how he's so determined, also realizing that this dude is jacked as shit. That was one of my most surprising factors, is that he was jacked, because he does not look jacked, and then the fact that he has very long hair, and what one of my friends says is that he's hot in disguise, which, yeah, that was a shocking reveal, and I love seeing his determination too, how he just just kept working on the sword even when Gyoko freaking launched him out of a building. He just kept going back to working on that sword until Muichiro took it and threw it to Tanjiro. So then he had to slap Muichiro up the head because he wasn't done just yet. Honestly, everything with his character was a lot of fun this season. I'm hoping we see more of him because him and Tanjiro kind of have a better relationship now after all this. Now let's talk about Muichiro because he seemed like a very arrogant person when we first met him. He didn't really care about Tanjiro. He just kind of stood there talking to him and he didn't understand his emotions. He was all about the mission, didn't care about the people around him. But Tanjiro reminds him and says that if he's helping people, it's going to help him in the long run, which later we find out is something that his father told him when he was younger. And I like how that kind of tied back to it, where it seems like Tanjiro and Muichiro might be related at one point, but that was only because of the Yoriichi stuff, and the Demon Slayer mark is when I was assuming all that. However, of course, that's not the case, but I do love how Tanjiro does remind him of his father, and when we slowly learn more about this character as Tanjiro's words affect him and he goes and helps Kotetsu from dying from a giant fish and he ends up getting trapped in the water prison from Gyoko, we find out what really happened to him and why he is the way he is. He had a loving family, but his mother got sick and she was gonna die, and his father stupidly went out in the middle of a storm to do whatever he could to save the mother of his children, and he ended up dying too. So him and his twin brother, surprisingly, I never saw that one coming, lost both parents in the same day. And I love how that trauma showed us how it affected both characters, where his brother went more the cynical route, didn't want to help anyone, didn't want to do anything because he just wanted to look out for himself. He learned when you go out to try to help people out of your way, you can end up dying and just leaving everything behind, which is what he felt like. He felt abandoned when his father did that. And I love how Muichiro was more like his father. He was positive, wanting to help people, and he sees the more light in the day rather than just seeing the darkness. And I thought the relationship was really interesting and seeing how they were kind of conflicting. And now in the end, it felt like his brother didn't love him, but it showed that he did because he jumped in the way to save Muichiro right when a demon came into their house. So seeing that and seeing Yoriichi get his freaking arm cut off was one shocking and very sad moment. But I love how it showed that Muichiro had that demon slayer inside of him because he goes on a blind rage and absolutely destroys that demon. But in the end, almost dies himself and next to his brother. It was really interesting to learn that Muichiro is a descendant of Yoriichi and that he's pretty much destined to be a demon slayer. So I like how it showed us, gave us some memories back, and showed us why he lost his memories in the first place, is because he dealt with his very traumatic experience with his losing his brother and all his family. So another person Tanjiro was affected in the end helped him get his memory back and become the person he really was supposed to be. Which the fight with Muichiro and Gyoko was pretty cool with the mist, how watching it go all over the place. However, it was a little bit quicker than I thought it was going to be, and Gyoko died a little too easily. But I did find it funny that Gyoko was the one acting like he was better than everyone else and that he was so strong that no one's ever beaten him in his final serpent-like form. That was a lie because he got his ass whooped real quick. I'm pretty sure there it was his arrogance that got him beaten because he was so confident that he was going to win. He didn't think anyone could beat him, and because of that, he wasn't prepared to get absolutely smashed by a super quick hashira. And like I said earlier with the Demon Slayer mark, I didn't realize that was a Demon Slayer mark. I thought it was people's bloodlines connected to Yoriichi. That's why I thought Tanjiro had it, because they had that imagery when he was going after Hentengu and doing the Sun Dragon Halo dance. We saw Yoriichi in the background while Tanjiro was yelling with the mark as well in the same spot. So I thought that was a bloodline thing, but it's cool to learn that that's just a Demon Slayer thing and that Demon Slayers get this mark because Mitsuri also got it while she was fighting Hentengu, but on her neck. And I like how they showed that and how they're different as well. Still surprised that Tengen never got it last season, or Rengoku, because they both fought upper ranks and went the hardest. So very interesting the way that works. But speaking of Mitsuri, I love when she came into the fight and how she used her sword, because first of all, her sword is way different than everyone else's in this season, where it's like a ribbon and she uses it like a ribbon in like a ribbon dance formation. How many times I'm going to say ribbon in a row? Who knows? But I love the way she fought because she comes in fighting those fish to save the chief of the village. That was a cool little hero moment scene. But then when she came in to save Tanjiro after he literally got eaten by Hentengu's final form giant wood serpent, then watching her fight Hentengu almost dying was shocking, but having Nezuko and everyone save her last second because she saved them. Just very good moments between these characters overall, and when she did get into her like fight mode, it was epic. Going really quickly, slicing up the serpent heads while she's fighting. It looked really cool, and I liked the way she fought. It looked beautiful on screen. Every time they fight in the show, it looks beautiful with the different colors and making everything pop as well. But it made me really like her character, and I'm so glad that Tanjiro killed Hentengu because she almost died right there and then. And I really liked learning about Mitsuri's backstory as well during this, because we learned that she is different from all the other demon slayers, at least the ones we've seen so far, because she did not have a sad backstory. Her backstory was actually very wholesome and nice, because she grew up freakishly strong, ate a shit ton, and her hair turned pink. But I love the fact that all she ever wanted to do was be loved and get married and live a happy life. But she wasn't able to find that because no man wanted a girl that could eat more than them, be stronger than them, and have this really colorful hair. I mean, I don't understand that, but I am so happy that she did find acceptance and love into the demon slayers, and that's why she's a love hashira. She found acceptance in a place that, you know, she probably didn't think she was gonna find that acceptance, and then she met Obanai. But I like when we met him in that flashback, because it shows him giving socks to her and him being like, I'll get you new socks if you rip them. Like a very cute moment where she finally has someone who cares about her, something she's always wanted. And it's gotta be the snake boy. I want to learn more about him now, and also why he has the snake on him. Please no spoilers in the comments, because I'm hoping we learn about that soon. I mean, it might be a while till we get the next season, but still. However, her backstory just really shows how different she is from the other demon slayers, because she's fighting for love and acceptance and everything like that, where they're all fighting for, some of them are most likely fighting revenge and hatred because of how the demons affected their lives. Like with Genya's past, we find out that he had a brother, Sanemi, who is the other hashira, which I did not realize that he was going to be related to the hashira, but it explains why they're both dicks at first, because of the fact that when they were kids, they had this huge loving family, and then their mother was turned into a demon and killed them all. When their mother didn't return it, I'm like, she's gonna return as a demon, and then 2 seconds later, boom, she comes blasting through the door, killing all her children, which was so freaking dark, and I cannot believe what happened there. And I like that we saw that Sanemi had to fight his mother. He had to kill her, and then Genya blamed him for it. However, he learned over time to overcome that, but I thought that was so dark and depressing. I was so sad during that episode, because I'm like, this sucks. Like, Genya went through so much. This kid has dealt with so freaking much. He's not even close with his brother because of everything that happened, and I'm curious to see if he's gonna run into his brother after this and be like, hey, we defeated an upper rank demon, how's it going? Maybe talk about that, something along those lines. There's like little details I want to see between characters, which I think would be a lot of fun to see. And also, speaking of Genya, I thought it was really cool that he used a gun, and I love the scene when he popped in with the gun and he just blasts Hentengu. Really cool moment, and badass, because he's using a small sword and a gun, something completely different from the other demon slayers, just like Mitsuri's sword. Now with that, let's jump into how the arc ended, because so much stuff happened during that fight with Hentengu where I thought they won. I thought when Muichiro came in with that epic moment, we're throwing Tanjiro the sword, Tanjiro beat Hentengu right there and then by cutting off his head, but then we find out that he didn't. And I thought it was a very emotional moment where we have Nezuko running to go after the headless body, chasing after the swordsmiths, and Tanjiro realizing his sister's about to die because the sun's coming up. I never thought we would see her live. I totally thought it was her sacrificing herself by pushing Tanjiro and making the choice for him, because he couldn't decide either to save his sister or save the people, and she chose to be sacrificed so that he could save the innocents. And I really like that moment because it shows that she's willing to sacrifice herself to help people. But that whole section was so good. Some people said it was over dramatized and wasn't as dramatic in the manga, and I'm like, well, no shit, it's anime. They can extend the scene, it's not a piece of paper. They have music, and the setting looks so much different when it's in color rather than black and white. And I love when Tanjiro's breaking down after he did beat Hentengu and he slices him up, which was a freaking great moment. Taking down an upper rank demon yourself with your brand new sword. Him breaking down and Nezuko walking up in the sun. Shocking moment, not expecting it. And when I first saw it, I'm like, holy shit, Muzan made his worst enemy. He made a demon that's walking in the sun. He doesn't have a freaking chance now. Just to find out that this was all Muzan's plan, that he was trying to find a demon to do that exact thing, and now he does. Now he wants to devour Nezuko so he can walk in the sun. Because then we get the flashback story to Muzan, which I was not expecting whatsoever. Learning about his backstory was really interesting because you could kind of see that he was always a terrible person. He hated the world and the doctor that was helping him because he was destined to die, but the doctor was doing experiments on him, healed him, and then gave him demon powers, and he wasn't actually just a demon this entire time, which is what I thought was happening. I thought this guy was a demon from this other realm. Instead, he's from the main world. Now it's going to be an all-out war to take down Muzan, and I am so looking forward to seeing how that happens and how everything plays out. Like I said, this arc had so many good character moments, and it's making me look forward to meeting a lot of the other hashira and the other demons. But I can't wait to see everyone's reactions to Nezuko walking around now, especially Inosuke and Zenitsu, because I feel like Zenitsu is going to have a fun moment to realize Nezuko's walking around. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And I also just want to see how the other hashiras react, especially after they first met Nezuko and Tsunemi tried to kill her. But let me know, what did you think of this this season? What was your favorite moment? What did you think of the character development? And who was your favorite character from this arc? And without manga spoilers, and if you don't know what's actually gonna happen, give me some theories about what you think is gonna happen in the next arc when we get to the Hashira training arc. I think there's gonna be a lot of good moments coming from this anime, and I honestly cannot wait. This was the first anime I ever watched, so I think it's always gonna have a special place in my heart for one of my favorite animes, and I absolutely love where it's going, and I love the character so much. Tanjiro is one of my favorite anime protagonists, and I am so looking forward to seeing way more of him. I hope you enjoyed my arc discussion and everything that went along with it. If you want to check out any of my anime reactions for this season, check out the playlist down below because it'll have all of them, and we can talk about those moments when it happened during the episode. If you like this video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. It helps out the channel a lot, and you'll stay up to date with all my anime reactions and anime discussion videos, as well as Marvel and DC if you like that as well. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you all later.